Hello again, thank you for staying around. Now, we already started with sodium and we've already looked at the historical perspective, sources of dietary sodium, and we looked at absorption and metabolism. Today, we'll be looking at the function of sodium. However, I want to say thank you to everyone for staying tuned. If you've been enjoying the videos, I want you to share so that others, your friends or others in your network or circle will also benefit. Thank you so much for subscribing and following. Now let's go on to the functions of sodium. Now we've already looked at sodium to be referred to generally as white gold, because when the ancients discovered it, it was very helpful, very useful in preserving their food and also enhancing the taste of their food. And sodium is generally found in salt. So you will not always talk about dietary sodium without relating it with the common salt. Now, sodium is also found in animal tissue like the meat, the fish, the egg, and other poultry products too. And also it can be found in spinach, in beet roots, and some other plant tissues. Now, but we will look at the functions or importance of dietary sodium, the importance of it. Now, sodium plays several critical roles, and I want to tell you that the roles that sodium plays are almost about the same thing with potassium. They are both group 1 elements in the chemical periodic table, and they are alkaline metals. They have about the same features. Now, the first is fluid and electrolyte balance, maintenance of osmotic pressure, and also regulating distribution of water between the cells and extracellular fluid. Now, by this sodium balance, sodium and sodium ion Na plus in tandem with the potassium ion help to balance the quantity and the level of sodium in the body fluid, and also the pressure, osmotic pressure, in which case the pressure by which fluid passes between semi-permeable membrane, for example the cells of the body. Now, sodium is normally found in extracellular and the external part of the cell. However, you have a lot of potassium in the internal part of the cells, in which case it's about the cells of the muscles of the body. Now, the next thing, another function of sodium is nerve impulse transmission. It helps to depolarize and proper functioning of the nerve system. The nerves that nerves are connecting the spinal cord and the brain, sending signals, receiving signals, interpretation of signals, and also relaying back the signals. Sodium ion very, very critical in this process. So it's important in the consumption of stable salt and the others. You know that you're also helping nerve transport, nervous impulse transportation in your body. So this also number 3, muscle contraction. Together with 2 other nutrients, minerals we talked about potassium and calcium. Sodium also help in regulating contraction and relaxation of the muscles. For example, now contracting the muscles, you see it goes up this way, relaxing it when you bring it down. So it's an interplay, an exchange of the materials in sodium and potassium in helping in regulation and of control and control, that is relaxation and contraction of the muscles of the body. Another thing that does is nutrient absorption. Sodium is absorption of glucose and amino acids in the small intestine. The small intestine I talked about has the capacity of, that is actually where absorption of a bulk absorption of sodium happens. Another absorption occurs after ultrafiltration in the kidney. Now, in this case also, digestion of glucose, absorption of glucose, digestion of glucose starts in the mouth. However, the absorption starts in the jejunum and duodenum. So, our presence of sodium help in the absorption of glucose into the bloodstream from the small intestine into the bloodstream, and also amino acids. Now, the next, which is the last one, which we'll be considering, is acid-base balance. Sodium is a group 1 element, which is alkalinic in nature. They call them alkaline metals. They help to neutralize or maintain body fluid pH, the pH of the body fluid, so that they don't become too acidic. In other words, the reaction between an acid and a base usually will lead to something neutralized, to a neutral pH between the ranges of, let's say, 6.8, about 7.2, there about 7 being the most neutral, the pH of good water. Now in this case, acid-base balance in the body fluid is actually maintained by the presence of sodium being a group 1 element. So if there's going to be so much acidity, the presence of sodium will help to normalize it, bringing it down so that it's not too acidic to become harmful to the body. So in a nutshell, what we see about sodium is it helps in homeostasis. Homeostasis has to do with maintaining order, maintaining a balance. You see, this one has to do with electrolyte balance. This has to do with pH balance. It helps in absorption of nutrients, helps in muscle contraction, and helps in transmission of information. Now let's look at it again. Sodium helps in balancing the fluid and electrolytes in the body, helps also in the balancing of the pH, that is degree of acidity or alkalinity of the body fluid. Other things are that sodium does is help in absorption of other food nutrients like glucose, and which is a carbohydrate, and amino acid, which is the building block of proteins. Then also sodium help in the contraction of the muscles and transportation of impulses between the brain and the central nervous system, the brain, the spinal cord, and the other nerve endings. I want to thank you for staying tuned. We just learned the functions of sodium. In the next class, we'll be continuing with the deficiency symptom, and afterward, we'll draw the curtains on sodium. Thank you so much for this. We'll call it a day. Thank you for staying tuned. Let's meet in the next class. If you gain value, please share, subscribe, also follow. Thank you.